from University of Moscow. Welcome. We will proceed as others join us, and I would like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Francis Chemorion, and I'm an experienced business intelligence consultant at Aналитика ПЛЮС. I design, create, analyze, and present data in a format that delivers analytical insights that show customer behavior, effective or ineffective marketing, and vendor management opportunities. I also create accurate statistical forecasting models that predict future sales. I've had the opportunity to work in different industries such as airline, healthcare, FMCG, financial sector, and many other industries. And one thing they all have in common is customers. Now, our company Aналитика ПЛЮС has been a partner of Tableau software since 2012. Tableau is the leading BI solution today. It is especially loved by high-tech companies such as Avito, Yandex, and Mail.ru. Banks such as Tinkoff and MKB, development groups such as Etalon, PIK, pharmaceutical companies such as Bayer, Metria Medica, production holdings such as RAS AI and ChipTZ, and many other various sectors in the economy. More and more leading companies are starting to use Tableau, and this creates a very high demand for analysts who know how to use this tool. And Tableau analysts, I can say from experience, are in very high demand. Now, in response to this market demand a few years ago, Aналитика ПЛЮС started teaching Tableau in the form of face-to-face 2-day workshops. Our trainers are renowned expert practitioners who help clients implement and launch analytics projects. All our trainers are Tableau certified. Over the past 6 years, we have trained over 1,000 people. Our experience and customer testimonials indicate that the completed training significantly improves the return on investment. To study with us, firstly, we publish very many materials for free several times a week. Therefore, in order not to miss any news, first of all, you can subscribe to our Telegram channel, the Aналитика Academy chat, as shown on the first link, and you will always be in the know. This platform, this other platform which we launched, which is on the second link, provides video courses and is the main system forming the educational content. So make sure to register on this system. It's free because after registration, you will have access to the demo level. Now, in the demo level, you'll see a list of courses which are divided into relevant areas, such as Tableau, we have Vertica, we have Alteryx, and we also teach data mining techniques. We also regularly organize live broadcasts for managers and analysts where popular topics from the field of analytics are being discussed, such as this one. The Aналитика Academy is a communication platform for professionals. Just to make sure I'm still being heard, just in case you cannot hear my voice, please comment in the chat. Also, if you joined us a little bit late, feel free to introduce yourself by saying who you are and where you work, so that we are all on the same page. As well, we have a chat going on inside Telegram, so you can follow the first link to join the chat which is going on. One of the main questions you will ask yourself is, why Tableau? I will summarize this into 7 very specific advantages of using Tableau. First of all, Tableau has very high performance. Users rate Tableau's overall performance as strong and secure. It can handle millions of rows of data with ease. The huge advantage of having Tableau is different types of visualization can be created in a single instance. The second reason why you should consider Tableau is that it is mobile friendly. There is an accomplished mobile app available for iOS and Android which adds mobility to Tableau users and allows them to keep their statistics at their fingertips. Another reason why you should consider Tableau is its extensive customer resources. The Tableau community is engaging and enthusiastic. It has various comprehensive online resources, guides, trainings, and online forums. Another reason why you should consider Tableau is the ease of upgrade. Tableau customers are happy with the latest releases of the software because the upgrades are easy to be carried out, and they are also as a result of suggestions from users who want a particular feature implemented and raise this up in the Tableau community. Another reason why Tableau is a good software tool is its low cost as compared to big data counterparts such as Click and SAP Business Objects. It also offers quality customer service where each Tableau user and developer community has a developer community where all the queries are responded to quickly. Now, Tableau is also very easy to use and it has a very simple user interface. So it is possible to drag and drop different components to generate different kinds of insight. Now, Gartner Quadrant Research Methodology provides a graphical competitive positioning of 4 types of technology partners in fast-growing markets. We have leaders, we have visionaries, we have niche players, and we have challengers. It is in the form of a scatter plot, as you can see, which is useful in interpreting trends in statistical data, and each data point has 2 coordinates, that is x and y, involving presenting each observation as an intersection of these 2 coordinates. So for example, each software on this scatter plot is as a result of its rating it according to the completeness of vision and its ability to execute. Now, according to this scatter plot, you can see Tableau has a very high rate of completeness of vision and a very high ability to execute as compared to other market players, as you can see below. Now, this is because customers are deploying Tableau at a very fast rate and in more industries than ever before. Tableau community also supports personal and organizational success with data, and Tableau offers a powerful, secure, and flexible end-to-end analytics platform. Now, to see how easy it is to interpret such a visualization in Tableau, I will attempt to use real-life values. So I will attempt to create a scatter plot using quantities and orders and having customers as the points of observation. Now, to do this is very easy in Tableau, and I will go here where I already created a scatter plot already just to save time. Now, on this scatter plot, we see sales down here and we see quantities down here. Now, just to group these customers into quadrants, the customers who are on the first quadrant give us below average sales and buy below average quantity. These lines represent the average lines. So the average sales is up to here and the average quantities is up to here. So the next group of customers are here. These customers give us an above average sales but buy a below average quantity. We can say that they buy expensive products. On the third quadrant, we have customers who buy an above average quantity but give us below average sales. So they could be buying a lot of products, but these products are cheap. On this last quadrant are the customers who we desire mostly, and these customers are the ones who buy an above average quantity and give us an above average sales. Now, we will use a special pattern of interest called a linear trend line. And to add this in Tableau is very easy, just to demonstrate the ease of use of this analytics tool. So you go to the analytics panel and we will take a trend line, and for today we will do a linear trend line like that. When I drop it, you see the trend line. Now here we need to take note of two values. When I hover on the trend line, we see an R squared value and we see a P value. Now the rule of the thumb in interpreting the strength of a relationship, so for this instance we want to see if quantities are strongly correlated to sales. Now the rule of the thumb is that the R value, which has a minimum of -1 and a maximum of 1, if the R value is 0.49 and below, it shows us weak, or a weak or no relationship at all. While if the R value is 0.5 and above, it shows us a moderate to strong relationship. Also, when R is greater than 0, it shows us a positive association, while if R is less than 0, there is a negative association between the two values, in this case quantities and sales. Now the next value, which is the P value, shows us the probability that the two values is 0. We call this the null hypothesis, which means that there is no relationship between the values. Correlations are statistically significant if the P value is less than 0.05, like what we see on our scatter plot here. So strong correlations have a very low P value. Now, just to demonstrate how this would be different, since this is the general trend, we would want to see a particularly different trend. And just to demonstrate how we can do it very easily in Tableau, I will use this particular scatter plot where quantities are not correlated to sales, just to see if the trend line will be going in a different direction. So what I will do is I will select these values. These values over here, and I will create a set using these values, and yes, let me call them this is above average sales, below average quantities. After creating this set, now what we will do, we will look at we will go and bring this set into the colors so that we can be able to visualize it on this particular scatter plot. So I will look for above average sales, yes, and I will come and put it inside color. So now what we are able to see this time round, we are seeing two trend lines, and the trend line for this particular customers is going the opposite direction. As you can see, the R value has gone below and the P value has increased. Now when the P value gets stronger, it shows there's no a weaker relationship. So right now we see a different set of values from as excluded to the rest of values. But not to dwell so much on this particular example, you might ask yourself, why should I take this course? The first reason I would advise you to take this course is to learn about cluster analysis. Now this involves grouping customers into different clusters and give them the best levels. For instance, we have already seen we already have 4 quadrants of customers: the ones buying the cheap products in limited quantities, and the ones buying most expensive products in high quantities. Now when we put this in a website scenario, for example, you have an e-commerce store, you would want to know which products specifically suit a customer. So if this customer belongs to the quadrant where they buy very inexpensive products in low quantities, you would want to show them those specific quadrants, those specific products. If they are in the category where they buy expensive products, that is exactly what you would want to show them, because this is what the customer is interested in. Now, the next reason why you should take this course is customer segmentation, which involves grouping your customers into similar patterns to help you identify different opportunities for marketing and product development. Also, customer journey mapping, which is the process of understanding customers, what customers go through as they engage with a service, and covers different pain points and opportunities for improvement. Also, last but not least, is transactional analysis, where you examine the purchase frequencies, the amounts, and the types of products purchased together for patterns and predictions. Now, before we continue to the next section of the presentation, if you've just joined us, you can be able to introduce yourself in the chat section, and also we have a Telegram link here, which you can, there's a conversation going on, you can go into our Telegram and you can join the discussion in there. Now, you might ask yourself, why does customer analytics matter? For us to understand this question better, I will break it down into 5 smaller questions, then answer them using data. Question 1. How can we find the number of orders each customer has made? How can we also know the number of customers who made 1 order, 2 orders, 3 orders, or an nth order? How do we know? How do we calculate nth value of orders in different customers? Now, to demonstrate this, I will use a Tableau visualization here, which is a histogram of orders. Now, on this histogram, we see on the first bar, we have 140 customers who made 6 orders. On the second bar, we see 119 customers who made 5 orders, 117 customers who made 7 orders, 97 customers who made 8 orders, and so on and so forth. Now, you might ask yourself, how can we create such a visualization to show? Now, I will demonstrate this in 3 very easy steps. The first step you need to do is take the customer and put it onto the columns, then count distinct number of orders using the order IDs in the rows, so that we see, for example, here, this first customer made 15 orders. Wouldn't it be nice to see such a histogram of number purchased 1, 2, 3, 7 times? That's why I'll go to my second step. Now, to create this histogram, we need to turn the number of orders per customer into a dimension, so that it can be used to slice up the number of customers. This is very straightforward by using a level of detail expression. We have a level of detail expression called fixed. Now we fix the customer ID and the count distinct number of orders. Now replace the count distinct number of orders on the rows with this expression, and you will notice that they are equal. The difference is that the count distinct number of orders is a measure, while this other one can be turned into a dimension. Now, the third step that we need to do is to bring the distinct count of customers into rows and also drag it into color. Then we will drag the number of orders per customer from measures to dimensions. Then we will bring the number of orders per customer into the columns, and we will end up with our histogram of orders. Now here we can see that 88 customers have made 4 purchase orders from our stores. Now this specific histogram can also be used in calculating the average order value of every customer. Now, to learn more on how you can create these visualizations, you can go and visit our website at academy.analyticalplus.ru, There, if you register, it is free to register. You go to the demo level, you will see the Tableau section. You will be able to begin training on how to create such visualizations. Now, the second question I would want you to ask yourself is, how do we get the customers that make larger contribution to our sales? Now, also to answer this question, I will use a different visualization. Now, on this visualization, we see a cohort analysis. Now, in 2011, we see that the customers that came in generated 136,000, while in the second year, customers who generated this amount came down to 65,000, and the customers who we acquired in 2012 generated more. They brought us 99,000. On the third year, we can also see that the customers who we brought in 2011 are actually the majority, generating 96,000, while customers who came in 2012 generate 59,000, and customers who are in that current year generated the least, which is 50,000. In 2014, we see that the customers who we picked up in 2011 are the ones who generated the most amount, that is 134,000, while customers who are in 2012 generate 65,000. Customers who we acquired in 2014 in 2013 generate 53,000, while the customers in the current year generate only 46,000. From this visualization, we are able to see a particular trend whereby our original customers are always the customers who bring us the majority share of our revenue, while the customers in our previous year, that is the customer on the previous year, last year, if it was this year, are the ones who lead second, and this pattern keeps increasing. So in the first year, they generate a high amount. In the second year, it reduces a little bit, but it continues increasing in the forthcoming years. Now, how do we create such a visualization? In 3 easy steps. First of all, you need to calculate each customer's first purchase date. That is by using the level of detail expression we discussed earlier, that is called fix, where we fix the customer ID to the minimum order date, that is the first date they ever ordered, and we will end up with such a list. Now, the second step we need to do is we need to bring the year of order date to columns and sales to rows. Then we bring the customer acquisition date, which is the date we fixed. We bring it into color. Now, we select the type of visualization by choosing the bar in the max shelf. Then we right click on the market to show a quick filter so that we're able to filter in the different markets. What we end up is this. Now, we need to duplicate this sheet so that we are able to compare it in terms of percentages. We right click the sum of sales on the rows shelf and select a quick table calculation. Then we make it a percentage of total. We then right click the sum of sales and select compute using table down. Then we add both charts to the dashboard, as we can see, and we end up with this visualization. On the second visualization, we see in 2011 100% of the sales were brought by customers in the 2011 cohort. In 2012, the customers who are in 2011 cohort account for 39.52% of the sales, while the customers in the current cohort accounted for 60% of the sales. In 2013, the customers who are in the 2011 cohort account for 46.94% of the sales, while the customers in the 2012 cohort account for 28.66%, and the customers in the current cohort account for 24.40% of the sales. In the last year, we see that the customers who came in 2011 account for 44% of the sales, which is still the majority amount of sales. Then customers in 2011 account for 22.85%. Customers in 2013 17.55, and customers in the current cohort account for 15.19 sales. Now, on to our third question. You might ask yourself, what is the daily trend of customer acquisition by market or region, and how can we see whether the marketing and sales organizations that we are engaging are generating new business or not generating new business for us, so that we see if we are either gaining or losing customers. For this, I will use the customer acquisition analysis. Now, on this customer acquisition analysis, we see that in Africa is where we have the least amount of new customers being acquired. So we see that, for example, in October we had 236 new customers, while in December we have 754 new customers. The trend is generally increasing, but as compared to other markets, they are doing quite much better. Now, when we compare it to the East and Middle East Africa, we see that we also have a similar trend, but we do not have so many customers coming in as compared to, for example, the first market in which we have, which is the North American market. We see that it steadily increases and it has the highest number of new customers any time of the year. Now, to create this again in 3 very simple steps. First thing is you're going to calculate the customer's first purchase by fixing their customer ID and the minimum order date. The second step is we are going to create a calculated field that has the following logic. If the order date is equal to the day of first purchase for that customer, then this is a new customer. Otherwise, this is an existing customer. So if a customer made a purchase today and the order date, the minimum order date of that specific customer is equal to the date today, then this is a new customer, or else this is an existing customer. And on our last step, we'll bring the day of order date into columns. Then we will count the distinct number of customers in the rows. Then we will bring the new or existing filter to the shelf. We will right click on the pill on rows, then we add a quick table calculation and generate a running total. And then last but not least, we will bring the market into color. For that, we will end up with this visualization that shows, for example, in 2012, North America begins to flatten out in January 2012. So we have a small flat here, and we see that for these 3 markets, between the time between July and December, we have seen a flattening of the curve, where we are not acquiring any more new customers, just the usual numbers that we have been witnessing. Now, on to our fourth question. How do we ensure that existing customers are making repeat purchases? How many customers take 1, 2, 3 or n quarters to make a repeat purchase? How many customers have never made a repeat purchase? What does this behavior look out broken down into different quarters? Now, to answer this, I will use a return to purchase quarterly cohort chart. Now, to interpret this chart, for example, in 2011, we see that in 2011, 10 customers waited for 2011 to pass for them to make a repeat purchase. Now, as compared to here, we see among the customers who are in the 2011 quarter 1 cohort, we see 13 of them waited 10 quarters to make a repeat purchase. Now, for the 2012 cohort, 2011 quarter 2 cohort, the people who came in here, we have the highest number of people waiting only 2 quarters for them to make a repeat purchase. Now, 67 customers did not wait for any quarters for them to make a repeat purchase. So we have 67 customers who repeated their purchase. So the trend goes on and forth. So for 2014 quarter 4, we have 5 customers who did not wait for any other quarter for them to make their second purchase, while we have 44 waited until quarters lapsed for them to make their second purchase. Now, to create this type of visualization, first thing you need to do is you need to find the second date of purchase, which we can find by doing a fixed calculation of the customer ID and the minimum order date. That is the first purchase that we did on the previous visualization. Now, after calculating the first purchase, we create a repeat purchase measure by calculating the minimum order date that is greater than the first order date. So we already have the first order date, but we create now a minimum order date that is greater than the first order date for every customer. Now, on the third purchase, on the third step, now we find the minimum value per customer of this repeat purchase. So we fix the customer ID, and in the repeat purchase measure that we just created in the previous step, we find the minimum value per customer. Now, our fourth step would be, now that we have found the first and second purchase dates for each customer, we can calculate the gap between these dates. For this calculation, we will do a date difference in terms of quarters between the first purchase and the second purchase date for every customer. Now, last but not least, we will now use these different variables to create a visualization. We will bring the quarters to repeat purchase into the columns. We will right click the quarters to repeat purchase on columns and select it into a dimension. Then we will right click the quarters to repeat purchase and make it a discrete value. We will alias all the null values with lapsed. Then we will bring the quarter to first purchase date into the rows. We right click the quarter to first purchase date on the rows and select it into a discrete value. Then we bring account distinct of the customer ID into the colors. Now we will end up with this return purchase by quarterly cohort. Now, on to our fifth question. Are more tenured customers more loyal? Where tenure is measured by the year of customer acquisition and loyalty is measured by the annual purchase frequency. Now, to answer this specific question, we will use the purchase frequency visualization. From this visualization, we can see what percent of customers from each cohort, that is the year of acquisition, purchased at least 1, 2, 3 or n times in different years. So in 2014, 82% of customers from the 2011 cohort purchased at least one time. Now in 2014, same 2014, 56% from the 2011 cohorts purchased at least 2 times, and so on and so forth. And we see that 0 is not a good value. 2% from the 2011 cohort purchased at least 6 times. Now, how do we create this specific visualization? What we do is we bring the count distinct of the customer ID into the rows. We create a level of detail expression that groups the customers by cohort by fixing the customer ID and the minimum year of order date. So the first order date this customer made, we want to see the minimum order date. Now, our second step would be to right click on the order date in the data pane, and we create a custom date part set to year. Then we'll create a level of detail expression that counts the number of orders made by each customer in each year Note that this is necessary to include cohort in this expression, since every customer belongs to only one cohort. So this is how the expression would look like. We fix the customer date and the order date in terms of years, then we count distinct number of orders. Next, we would drag the number of purchases per customer per year from the measures into the dimensions. Then we would bring the number of purchases per customer per year into the columns. After that, we will add the year order date into the filters. Then we select the mark type. This is the type of visualization into line. Now, the 10th step we need to take here is to create a quick table calculation for the customer ID, and we create a running total of it. Then we will edit the table calculation, select advanced, and set it to partition cohort and address the number of purchases per customer per year. Then we sort this descending by average, that is the number of purchases per customer per year, so that running totals are backward instead of forward. We would then drag the pill into the data pane and rename it running total. Now, our final step would be to find the percentage of customers per cohort who purchased at least n times in the selected year. Divide the running total by the number of customers in the cohort. Note that since fixed calculation is evaluated before filter on year is applied, this will count customers from earlier cohorts who did not purchase in the selected year. Now, just a look of this expression, how this expression would look like, would be running total, that is that value divided by the sum of the fixed cohort, the count distinct of number of customers in a specific cohort. Now, for you to learn how to create these different expressions, how to create this different visualization, how to manipulate different values inside Tableau, I would encourage you to go to academy.analyticaplus.ru and do a free registration, then get into the demo level and select Tableau. After that, we will get this purchases frequency visualization, which shows us a clear trend that customers in more tenured cohorts purchase more frequently than customers in recent cohorts. The new customers have not yet made do not make more purchases than customers who we have maintained over the years. Now, what can we learn from these presentations? Now, marketing efficiency. Focusing on the individual customer takes your marketing analysis beyond just knowing your spend and eyeballs you received in return. Knowing which marketing channels bring the highest value customers in terms of size, retention rate, profitability allows you to either cut marketing costs or to expand your reach more efficiently. So, for example, if you saw that you employed in the recent year, you employed new marketing tactics but have not generated any new traffic, or instead it has reduced the number of customers you have, it has had a negative effect on the quality of customers that you're getting. You might be able to see this from the data and be able to make an efficient marketing decision. Another thing we have learned from here is customer acquisition being expensive is important to understand. Customer analysis can help you identify the common denominators among lost customers, give you an early warning that existing customers may be in danger of leaving if you do not take corrective action. Again, by studying the pattern of your different customers and actually extracting their data from Tableau can be able to give you different ways of knowing how to do customer retention. For example, if you want to diversify in low income products, for example, you notice that your low income customers are the ones that are exiting most, you want to diversify your low income products, you want to offer alternatives, you want to give discounts, you want to do promotions on the low income products. Another thing is increased sales. Understanding customer purchasing decisions is key to increasing sales. Using customer analysis to identify the factors that have both a positive and negative impact on sales could include, for example, shipping times, how customer service interactions are handled, whether you have a minimum order or bundle discount, or the customer's location or even income. Another thing is improved profit margins. Not all customers are equal. Some customers are more profitable than others, as we saw in the different quadrants. And some customers may even cost you money. We call this the customer lifetime value. The different presentations that we had gave us different variables that are able to calculate the customer lifetime value, which is a metric that indicates the total revenue that a business can expect from a single customer. It considers the customer's revenue and compares it to the customer's predicted lifespan. Business use the customer lifetime value metric to identify significant customer segments that are most valuable to the company. Now, to calculate customer lifetime value, we need to get the average order value, as we saw in our first question. We need to know the number of transactions, as we saw in our second visualization, and we need to see the retention time period, as we saw in our quarterly cohorts visualization, and we also need to multiply this by the profit margins. Now, this is the part where if you had any problems or any questions that you needed more understanding in, you can be able to